These advertisers are tracking my every move. I click on an article for Disney, and guess what's on the left-hand side? It's an advertisement from Disney. Let's talk about some news today. Hope you're ready for this. A little bit of the news coming out for December. That's right, 16th, baby. Let's just talk about this. So we start off with a nice little hit coming out at a lovely 3 a.m. I was awake at this time, baby. You already know it. Disney Frozen 2 hits the $1 billion mark. Wowies. That's crazy. And then upcoming weekend, you'll have the new Star Wars, which will naturally, as they mention here, most likely pass the $1 billion mark at some point. It might not be before the end of the year, but it probably will be, to be honest with you. I think they'll definitely do it, so I think it's a very anticipated movie. Star Wars always sells, I know that, that's for sure. So we'll see how that goes. Then we have a Mr. Micron here. Morgan Stanley, you're a piece of garbage. Raises Micron target to $56. Well, look at that. This is the same person that, hate to say it, but 3 months ago also said this thing was going down to 33 or whatever it was. So one thing I know about analysts is that they are extremely bipolar, not only just in general, but especially on these memory related stocks. They consistently, and you notice it with, and we'll mention it a little bit later too, Apple is in the same boat with them. Analysts are just absolutely insane. They don't have a clue what they're talking about. They'll change a price target every couple months. Well, how does that help anything? If you're all of a sudden, you go from buying to selling it in the middle of nowhere without any major news between it. I mean, I don't know where they get their math from. Freaking, these people always say, oh, the NAND always it's at its bottom now. It's at its bottom. It's only getting worse from here. And now he's saying, well, guess what? We're fine now. What do you mean? Oh my gosh. Who knows? I don't like these analysts, but good for these Micron shares. Let's go, baby. You know I got some Micron shares. Apple tops the holiday wish list. You already know it does. AirPods. AirPods dominated the list. iPhones came in third. iPhone 11 has been selling like no other. It's a banger. It's a banger of a phone. I don't use Apple products personally. I don't have an Apple iPhone myself. I would an old person. Sound like an old person. Apple iPhone. More than 80% of respondents indicated a preference to buy an iPhone, which doesn't shock me. There's not necessarily a new, nothing really new from Samsung coming out right now. I think they're really waiting for a new 5G phone, personally, and we will see how that goes. So Apple accounted for 35% plus of the must-have products on the survey. Wowies, that's crazy. Outperform rating was a price target of 305. Here is an analyst that's like actually being good about Apple, but I also think 305 is a little bit steep, and I mentioned it before. I think the valuation on Apple's a little high, but while we're in a bull market, I could see it certainly going to 305, but we'll have to see what next year has for us. Cisco purchases an ultra-low latency networking company, Exablaze, which designs and builds advanced fast networking gear based on FPGAs. Cisco plans to integrate Exablaze ultra-low latency networking tech into its Nexus portfolio of data center switches. High-frequency trading is Exablaze's main focus, but the company says its tech can also be used in data analytics, gotta love it, high-performance computing, and telecom applications. So we'll see how Cisco uses them and how this improves their business. That's good. We have some news. Tesla. That's right. That's right, baby. You know who I'm talking about here. You've been telling me to buy some Tesla. Here's some good news for Tesla for you. You've been telling me to buy it. Guess what? Tesla is riding high after Credit Suisse issues some positive comments on the automaker. That's right, baby. Even as it keeps the underperform rating. Well, I mean, there you go. We believe Tesla is leading in the areas that will likely define the future of car making, software, and electrification. Dan Levy. This guy's been short freaking Tesla forever. And now he actually has something positive to say. Now he does keep a price target of 200, which obviously is a huge downward move from where it's at right now. Not something I think is too absurd. To be frankly honest, this is a company that I don't like the valuation on still, so that's why I'm not partaking on shares yet. I think this is a stock that could get absolutely massacred in the case of a market crash, and maybe if we had a little bit of a correction, I might be able to pick some of these shares up pretty cheap, because I think with the amount of overvaluation that we have in the market right now, there's so many companies that are extremely overvalued, and I think they just stand to get massacred whenever it comes time. So I think there's a chance this thing could be absolutely hammered once we hit recession territory or correction territory. We'll see what happens. So I don't disagree with him, though. I do think Tesla is leading in all of the areas in terms of electric vehicles. They have the best mapping network right now. They have a lot of advantages right now, but they have advantages now, and I do think competitors will catch up to them, and it'll be a pretty fair fight in the end, come 2022, 2023 time. So, but for now, Tesla has the advantage. So we see Apple gains as Cleveland Research, another analyst, it show strong demand for Apple's iPhones and wearables. This is, again, they're so bipolar, because you still have people saying that there's iPhone weakness. It frustrates me how many times there is absolutely no weakness in the iPhone 11, and it's a darn fact. We go through every single cycle. They release a new phone. Analysts say it's going to be the worst iPhone yet. They said about this. They're still saying about this. This is freaking insane. I'm glad you see this. It's going to be, boom. It's going to be good. iPhone sales are going to be great. They don't give numbers out for them anymore like they used to, but they're going to be fantastic. They're going to be good. Don't worry about it. And this says, by the end of fiscal year 2021, expects them to grow 15%. That's like a 2-year price target. That's pretty wild. I would not be the kind of guy to give out a 2-year price target at this point in time with market conditions, but he's done it, and it's only 15% up, which is interesting, but we'll see. And Apple Arcade, baby! Apple Arcade, their little video game service where you can play a bunch of games on your phones and stuff, your tablets, your Apple products. Reportedly adding a $50 per year subscription offer. That's right. Instead of the $4.99 per month, you can do a $50, which saves you. You got that 2 months worth of subscriptions. It'll cost $60 Canadian and 50 euros per year in the UK and 50 euros per year in Europe. That's right. I'm saying it's all euros. How does that make you feel? 50 pounds? Does that make you feel happy if I say 50 pounds in the UK? More cocaine. Amazon bans merchants from FedEx ground delivery. This is some huge news. So Amazon is blocking third-party sellers from using FedEx ground and home delivery for Prime shipments because, guess what? They are dropping the ball. There's a decline in performance headed to the holiday season, which sucks for them. I personally haven't had any issues getting my merchandise on time, but this could be big. Obviously, this could certainly expand some. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. So these third-party sellers, I don't know necessarily. I guess they will have to not be able to offer Prime on them, or I don't know what Amazon's going to do about this, if they're going to have to start sending it in-house. We'll see how that goes. Until the deliveries performance of these methods, of these ship methods improve, they're not going to allow it. So, let's see. Let's see what that means. We have, Boeing in the news again. Boeing confirms a halt of the 737 MAX production again. They're going to halt production in January. They're finally bringing the fleet back in January, but they're halting production because they have obviously plenty left over after reconstructions. So they're halting this, and they have somewhere around, 12,000 employees, I believe, that were on this this line for making these 737 MAXs since the grounding in March following the second fatal crash. Boeing has continued to build new airplanes and now has about 400 of them in storage. Yikers. The aircraft doesn't expect to lay off any workers, so now you're going to have workers that I guess will be shifted into different job roles or different factory lines. We'll see exactly how that looks, but it could be very costly for them. Safely returning the 737 MAX to service is our top priority. As we've previously said, the FAA and global regulatory authorities determine the timeline for certifications and return to service. So, nothing wild here. Boeing's down a nice 5% because of this, 4% during hours, and then another 1% after hours. They did also announce that they're keeping their dividend in line so far. I do think there's no doubt that this dividend is going to be absolutely shut down. No doubt about it. They're going to be cutting this dividend next year. I can guarantee it at this point, unless something changed. This isn't going to help the problem because they're going to have a bit of an issue in terms of profits here, I believe. Yep, we'll see how that goes for Boeing. So, we have panic in the coffee market. Good title here. Coffee futures soared 7%. That's right. Coffee is a commodity you can trade. I don't know if you knew about that, but it's definitely a hot commodity. So, an off-cycle crop year for Brazil combined with strong global demand sent prices soaring. There's one trader called Panic in the market. Robusta and Arabica. Arabica. That's rough. iPath Series B Bloomberg Coffee Sub-Index Total Return ETN. That is the name of an ETF, in case you were curious. I do like it, though. It is ticker symbol Joe. So, cup of Joe. Let's go, baby. Rose 8.6% and is 21% higher year to date. You can trade off coffee. That's right. That's all I'm telling you. You can trade coffee. Let's go, baby. And Roku is now searching for a new CFO as Steve Loudon plans to resign to relocate with his family, which makes plenty of sense. He's tired of traveling. He's going to enjoy his life now he's got plenty of money. And I will try to be stepping into this role for Roku. So I put in my application. We'll see how it goes. I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully you'll see me as the CFO of Roku shortly. Just wait for them to announce it.